Florida, a land where sunshine meets the sea and every breeze carries a story. Nestled in the southeastern corner of the United States, this vibrant state stretches between the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico and the endless blue of the Atlantic Ocean. Known as the Sunshine State, Florida is more than just beaches and theme parks. It is a place shaped by nature, culture, and time. With over 1,300 miles of coastline, its shores are among the most visited in the world. But behind the palm trees and clear waters lies a rich blend of history, wildlife, and wonder. From ancient native tribes to Spanish explorers, from Caribbean influences to modern American life, Florida's past is layered and alive. Its cities pulse with energy, while its wetlands whisper stories of the wild. The Everglades, a vast river of grass, holds secrets of creatures that have walked these lands for centuries. Florida is a mosaic of contrasts. Modern skylines stand tall beside untouched natural reserves. Art Deco architecture shines under the same sun that warms coral reefs and hidden islands. Deep in the southern tip of Florida lies one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth, Everglades National Park. Spanning more than 1.5 million acres, this vast subtropical wilderness is a slow-moving river of grass, shaped by water, wind, and time. Unlike any other landscape in the United States, the Everglades is a living, breathing mosaic of wetlands, mangroves, sawgrass marshes, and cypress swamps. It is home to a delicate balance of life, where rare and endangered species like the Florida panther, the American crocodile, and the West Indian manatee still roam free. Every inch of this park holds a quiet power. The air is thick with moisture, alive with the buzz of insects and the distant cries of wading birds. Alligators rest in still waters, hidden beneath lily pads and soft green reflections. Great blue herons and roseate spoonbills glide just above the surface, their wings cutting through morning mist. The Everglades is not just a sanctuary for wildlife. It is a vital part of Florida's natural heart. Its freshwater flow supports ecosystems far beyond its borders, reaching into cities and coastlines. For centuries, it has also been sacred land to the native Miccosukee and Seminole peoples, who understood its rhythms and respected its mystery. Stretching gracefully into the calm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, Naples Pier stands as a timeless symbol of coastal Florida. Built in the late 1800s, this wooden pier has witnessed generations of sunsets, storms, and stories. Located on the southwestern edge of the state, the pier is more than just a structure. It is a gathering place, a quiet escape, and a window into the soul of the sea. Each plank underfoot carries the rhythm of ocean tides and the footsteps of visitors drawn by its simple charm. As the sun rises, fishermen line its edges, casting their lines into the gentle surf below. Pelicans glide overhead, watching with ancient eyes, hoping for a shared catch. The water here shimmers in soft blues and greens, gently brushing the white sand shore where seashells scatter like nature's jewelry. During the day, families stroll the pier, lulled by the salty breeze and the distant call of gulls. Dolphins sometimes break the surface nearby, playful and curious. The scent of the sea is everywhere, clean, warm, and full of memory. Off the southwest coast of Florida, surrounded by the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, lies Sanibel Island, a quiet paradise shaped by the sea and time. This slender stretch of land curves gently along the coast, untouched by high-rise skylines and rushing crowds. Sanibel is known around the world for one simple, beautiful thing: seashells. Each morning, long before the sun fully rises, the shoreline fills with people walking slowly, eyes lowered, hands ready to collect nature's treasures. Over 200 types of shells wash onto these sands, brought in by the island's unique east-west orientation. It is one of the few places where the sea gives back with every wave. But Sanibel is more than its shells. It is a sanctuary of quiet, where wildlife thrives and nature is carefully protected. The island is home to the J.N. Ding Darling National Wildlife Refuge, a vast stretch of mangroves and marshes that shelter herons, egrets, spoonbills, and countless other creatures. Alligators bask in the sun, while otters play in winding creeks hidden by green canopies. Bicycles glide along shaded trails. The streets are lined with sea grape trees and palms. Along Florida's central Gulf Coast lies a place where the sand feels like powdered sugar and the sea stretches out in endless blue. This is Siesta Key Beach, a barrier island known for having some of the softest, whitest sand in the world. Unlike typical beaches, the sand here is made almost entirely of quartz. It stays cool underfoot, even on the hottest summer days, giving each step a smooth, soft touch. The beach stretches wide and open, offering space to breathe, to wander, to simply be. Waves roll in gently, clear and warm. Families laugh as children chase the tide. Couples walk hand in hand along the waterline, their footprints fading behind them. Seabirds hover above, their wings casting brief shadows over the shore. The energy at Siesta Key is unhurried. Lifeguard stands painted in bright colors dot the landscape like playful landmarks. Farther down, volleyball games echo with joy, while sunbathers rest quietly under umbrellas shaped by the breeze. In the evenings, the beach transforms. As the sun lowers, the sky turns soft shades of gold and pink, and people gather to watch the light slip into the sea. South Beach, a place where color, culture, and ocean meet under the glow of the Florida sun. Located at the southern tip of Miami Beach, this iconic stretch of sand and city is alive with movement, music, and a style all its own. The beach itself is wide and golden, with soft waves rolling in from the Atlantic Ocean. Palm trees sway beside walkways lined with joggers, cyclists, and people simply soaking in the moment. Lifeguard towers rise in bold pastels, pink, teal, yellow, like pop art sculptures watching over the shore. But South Beach is more than just sand and water. It is a living canvas of Art Deco architecture, where buildings from the 1920s and 30s still glow with neon at night. Along Ocean Drive, each hotel and cafe tells its own story through color and shape, blending history with the pulse of modern life. Here, the air carries the scent of salt, sunscreen, and Cuban coffee. Languages mix in the breeze: Spanish, English, Creole, and more, a reflection of the cultures that make Miami vibrant and full of energy. Music spills from open windows and patios, Latin rhythms, jazz, dance beats that echo into the evening. At the very end of the Florida Keys, where the road runs out and the sea surrounds everything, there is a place unlike anywhere else: Key West. Closer to Havana than to Miami, this island feels like the edge of the map, where time softens and the ordinary slips away. Key West is a small island with a big spirit. It is where artists, writers, sailors, and dreamers have always come to feel free. The streets are lined with pastel homes, draped in blooming bougainvillea and shaded by swaying palms. Roosters wander freely, their calls echoing between old wooden porches and quiet gardens. This island has a history that lingers in the air. It once welcomed pirates, shipwreckers, and rebels. Later, it became a haven for names like Ernest Hemingway and Tennessee Williams. Even now, the past feels close in the creak of old floorboards, in the stories told at bars that have stood for over a century. The water here is never far. Boats drift lazily in the harbor. Kayaks glide through mangrove tunnels. The sea glows turquoise by day and deep blue by evening, reflecting skies that seem to stretch forever. On the west coast of Florida, where the Gulf of Mexico meets soft white sand, Clearwater Beach stretches out like a postcard brought to life. With calm turquoise waters and powdery shores, this coastal gem has become a favorite for travelers seeking both beauty and simplicity. The sand here is made of fine quartz, cool and soft beneath bare feet. Waves roll in gently, washing up tiny shells and leaving behind patterns that shift with each tide. The water is warm, clear and shallow near the shore, inviting swimmers, paddleboarders and children at play. Clearwater Beach is a place of joy and ease. Families gather for beach days under colorful umbrellas. Couples walk hand in hand down the shore. Boats pass in the distance, their wakes cutting through the glassy sea. Above, seabirds glide silently, watching from above as life unfolds below. One of the heartbeats of this beach is Pier 60. It stretches far out over the water, offering a space to fish, to watch the sunset, or simply to stand and feel the sea breeze. In the evening, the pier comes alive with street performers, musicians, and small vendors, creating a festival atmosphere as the sky begins to change color. Tucked along Florida's northeast coast, the St. Augustine Historic District feels like a journey through time. Founded in the year 1565, it is the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the continental United States. Here, cobblestone streets wind past centuries-old buildings, and the air carries echoes of the past. Spanish colonial architecture stands proudly beside weathered stone walls and wrought iron balconies. The buildings are painted in warm earth tones, their wooden shutters creaking softly in the sea breeze. Each structure seems to whisper stories of explorers, soldiers, settlers, and revolutionaries who once walked these same paths. At the heart of the district, the Castillo de San Marcos rises in solid grey stone. Built in the late 1600s, this fortress has withstood storms, battles, and centuries of change. Cannons still point toward the bay, reminders of the time when Florida was a contested edge of empire. But history in St. Augustine is not kept behind glass. It lives in every step, every courtyard, and every shaded plaza. Horse-drawn carriages move slowly past old churches and hidden gardens. In the lower Florida Keys, far from the rush of highways and cities, lies a quiet stretch of paradise called Bahia Honda State Park. Surrounded by the clear, shallow waters of the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, this peaceful island offers some of the most unspoiled beaches in all of Florida. The sand is soft and pale, curving gently along turquoise shores where the water stays warm and inviting all year round. Here, the sea is calm and glassy, perfect for swimming, snorkeling, or simply floating beneath the open sky. Seagrasses sway just below the surface, and colorful fish dart through coral fragments and rock. Towering above the landscape is the old Bahia Honda rail bridge, a relic from the early 1900s. Once part of Henry Flagler's overseas railway, it now stands silent and still, a steel skeleton linking the past to the present. From the base of the bridge, visitors can climb a short trail to a lookout point, where the view stretches for miles in every direction, filled with water, sky, and endless light. Birds call from the mangroves and sea grapes, filling the air with soft, wild music. Pelicans glide just inches above the waves. Hermit crabs and shorebirds wander the beach, leaving tiny patterns in the sand. Just off Florida's Gulf Coast, where the mainland gives way to sky and sea, Honeymoon Island State Park offers a quiet, windswept escape. Reached by a short causeway from the town of Dundee, this island feels like a world apart, shaped by sand, salt, and time. Honeymoon Island gets its name from a simpler era, when wooden bungalows were built here in the 1940s for newlyweds seeking seclusion. Today, the cabins are gone, but the spirit of retreat remains. The island is wild, peaceful, and beautifully preserved. The beach stretches for miles, covered in soft white sand and scattered with driftwood and seashells. Shorebirds run in and out of the surf, their quick feet tracing patterns at the edge of the tide. The water is calm and clear, shifting from pale green to deep blue as it moves out to sea. Beyond the shoreline, winding trails lead through untouched pine forests, where osprey nests perch high in the branches. The sound of the waves fades here, replaced by birdsong and the rustle of saw palmetto leaves in the wind. Gopher tortoises move slowly through the undergrowth, and the sun filters down in patches through the tall trees. This is not a beach built for noise and crowds. Where Tampa Bay meets the Gulf of Mexico, a chain of small islands comes together to form one of Florida's most cherished coastal sanctuaries, Fort de Soto Park. Spread across 5 interconnected keys, this park is a blend of wild shoreline, peaceful trails, and deep history. The beaches here are long and untouched, with soft white sand that shifts gently underfoot. The water glows with shades of blue and green, and on quiet mornings it looks like glass. Sea oats wave in the breeze, and the sky feels wider here, open and endless. But beyond the natural beauty, the land holds a story. Near the northern edge of the park sits the remains of Fort de Soto, built in the early 1900s to defend the coast. Thick concrete walls and old artillery stand as silent reminders of a time when this stretch of sand had a far different purpose. Today, the fort is still and peaceful, visited by those drawn to both its strength and its stillness. Across the park, trails wind through mangroves and coastal hammocks, offering shelter to birds, raccoons, and turtles. Cyclists ride past tidal lagoons, and kayakers paddle through quiet waters where dolphins sometimes rise in smooth arcs. Just off the west coast of Florida, where the Gulf of Mexico meets sugar-white sand and turquoise water, Amelia Island stretches like a quiet ribbon of paradise. Only 7 miles long, this barrier island holds the charm of old Florida, slow, sunlit, and unspoiled. There are no towering hotels here, no neon signs or crowded boardwalks. Instead, pastel cottages sit behind waving sea oats, and bicycles outnumber cars on the narrow streets. The pace is gentle, the mood relaxed, and the island seems to breathe with the tide. The beaches are wide and open, brushed by soft waves and lined with shells. Herons stand still in the surf, while pelicans dive with practiced grace. Children play in the shallows, their laughter carried by the breeze. The air smells of salt and sunscreen, warm and familiar. In the small towns of Anna Maria, Holmes Beach and Bradenton Beach, local shops and cafes line the streets. Fresh seafood is served on docks overlooking the water, where boats rock gently in the current. Off the northeast coast of Florida, where the Atlantic Ocean meets salt marsh and quiet forest, Amelia Island rests with a sense of grace and history. Just 13 miles long and rich with natural beauty, this barrier island blends coastal charm with centuries of layered stories. The beaches are wide and peaceful, edged by dunes and sea oats. The sand is soft and pale, touched by waves that roll in steadily from the open sea. On early mornings, the shoreline is nearly silent, except for the sound of gulls and the hush of the tide pulling back toward the horizon. Inland, moss-draped oaks arch over quiet streets, ferns cover the ground. The air carries the scent of salt and pine. This island is home to more than just beauty. It holds history beneath its roots. Amelia Island has flown under 8 different flags, more than any other place in the United States. The influence of Spanish, French, British, and American cultures remains in its buildings, its stories, and its spirit. In the town of Fernandina Beach, brick storefronts and historic homes line the harbor front. Cafes, galleries, and old saloons open their doors to those wandering slowly through the shaded streets. On Florida's Gulf Coast, where the water glows with soft blues and the skies stretch wide and quiet, Gasparilla Island sits with a gentle, timeless charm. Just 7 miles long, this barrier island feels untouched by hurry, a place where the sea, the sun, and old Florida elegance still hold the rhythm. At the heart of the island lies the village of Boca Grande, where streets are lined with banyan trees and pastel cottages rest behind white picket fences. Golf carts hum softly along the road, replacing cars with a slower, simpler way to move. Here, life unfolds without rush. The beaches are wide and calm, their sand fine and white, warmed by the midday sun. The waves arrive in soft, measured breaths. Along the shore, shells are scattered like quiet treasures, and the occasional piece of smooth coral rests among them. The water is shallow and clear, perfect for wading, floating, or watching small fish move beneath the surface. At the southern tip of the island, the Boca Grande lighthouse rises from the sand, a white tower that has watched over the coast since the late 1800s. Weathered and elegant, it now serves as both a museum and a reminder of a quieter time. From here, the views reach far into the Gulf, where boats glide past on their way to deeper water. Tucked away in central Florida, surrounded by quiet forest and winding trails, Blue Springs State Park holds one of the clearest, most peaceful springs in the state. With waters that stay a steady 72 degrees all year round, this place is a refuge, not just for people, but for the gentle giants of Florida's wild heart, the manatees. The spring begins deep underground and flows out in a crystal blue ribbon that runs to the St. Johns River. The water is pure and glassy, revealing every pebble, every branch, every movement below the surface. On a quiet day, the spring seems still, as if the world has stopped just long enough to breathe. In the cooler months, manatees arrive in large numbers, drawn by the warmth of the spring. They float slowly through the water, calm, massive, and quiet, resting in the shallows, safe from the cold rivers beyond. Watching them is like watching time move at half speed. But even when the manatees are gone, the spring holds its magic. Swimmers drift across the surface. Snorkelers watch fish glide through underwater grasses. Kayaks slip through shaded paths, following the spring run to where it meets the river. Towering cypress trees rise from the banks, their roots twisting like sculpture. In the heart of north-central Florida, where the land is green and the air carries the scent of wildflowers and pine, Rainbow Springs State Park flows with quiet brilliance. It is one of the largest natural springs in the state and one of the most beautiful, a place where color, water, and life blend into something timeless. The spring itself is clear and deep, shimmering with shades of blue, green, and gold. Beneath the surface, aquatic plants sway like ribbons, and fish move gently through sunlit water. The spring head pumps out hundreds of millions of gallons every day, creating a steady current that feeds the Rainbow River, winding for miles through the forest beyond. Once a roadside attraction in the early 20th century, the land has returned to its natural rhythm. Trails lead through shady oak hammocks, past waterfalls built by hand decades ago, now softened by time and covered in moss. Butterflies drift over open meadows, wild azaleas bloom in spring. Every corner of the park holds something still and beautiful. People come here to float, to swim, to walk slowly and breathe deeply. The water is always cool, 72 degrees throughout the year, perfect for escaping Florida's summer heat. On Florida's Gulf Coast, where spring-fed waters meet the wide salt marshes of the West, Crystal River flows with clarity and calm. This small town and its winding waterways are known for something rare, a place where people and manatees meet face to face in a world of stillness and light. The water here is pure and transparent, fed by more than 30 natural springs that keep it a steady 72 degrees all year long. In the winter months, when colder waters drive sea life inland, Crystal River becomes a refuge. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of manatees gather in the quiet coves and sheltered inlets of the river. They move slowly, gently, their large bodies gliding just beneath the surface. The most famous of these sanctuaries is Three Sisters Springs, a cluster of crystal clear pools surrounded by ancient cypress trees and tangled roots. The springs bubble up from the limestone beneath the earth, turning the water an unreal shade of blue. Sunlight filters through the canopy, casting patterns on the sand below. Visitors paddle through these waters in kayaks and canoes, guided by silence. The manatees are calm, unbothered by the presence of humans. In the deep forests of North Florida, hidden beneath a canopy of cypress and ancient oak, Wakulla Springs flows with quiet power. This is one of the largest and deepest freshwater springs in the world, a place where clear water rises from the earth with steady force and timeless beauty. The spring itself is vast and still, a mirror of sky and trees. At its deepest point, it plunges more than 300 feet into the limestone below, though its true depth remains a mystery. Divers have explored its dark caverns, but the full reach of Wakulla Springs lies beyond the grasp of light and time. Above ground, the water appears endless and calm. Alligators rest near the shore, manatees drift just below the surface, birds call from the trees, and hingers, herons and ospreys filling the air with sound and motion. The forest hums with life, and the spring is its quiet heart. Wakulla Springs is also a river, flowing outward through wetlands and swamp, eventually joining the Gulf of Mexico. Guided boat tours glide through the water, bringing visitors close to the wild without disturbing it. Along the way, turtles sun themselves on logs, and schools of fish flash through the clear shallows. Along the emerald coast of northwest Florida, Destin stretches between the calm waters of the Choctaw-Watchie Bay and the wide-open Gulf of Mexico. It is a place where the sand is nearly pure white, where the water glows with shades of emerald and turquoise, and where the sea shapes both the land and the lives around it. The sand here is unlike anywhere else. Made from finely ground quartz, it is soft and cool beneath the feet, even in the heat of summer. It squeaks gently when walked upon, and reflects the sun with a brightness that turns the shoreline into something almost otherworldly. The Gulf waters roll in with a rhythm that feels eternal. Waves soft and clear, the horizon stretching far beyond the edge of sight. Fishermen stand quietly on piers, children chase the surf, and along the docks, charter boats prepare for journeys into deeper water. Destin began as a small fishing village, and even as it has grown, the sea remains at its center. The harbor is lined with boats of every size, from simple skiffs to sleek white sport fishers. Known as the world's luckiest fishing village, Destin draws anglers from across the country, each seeking the bounty that lies just offshore. Beyond the beach and the harbor, the town offers quiet neighborhoods, open-air markets, and waterfront restaurants where the catch of the day arrives fresh and full of flavor. In the heart of the Florida Keys, strung like a necklace between the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, Islamorada drifts in a world of clear water, warm light, and quiet salt air. Known as the Village of Islands, this stretch of land is more sea than soil, a place where life moves with the tides and time slows with the setting sun. Islamorada is made up of 6 islands, each touched by the turquoise flow of the surrounding waters. The ocean is never far, never hidden. It sparkles through the trees, laps against the docks, and cradles the mangroves with a steady rhythm. Here, the line between land and sea feels soft and shifting. For generations, Islamorada has been a haven for those drawn to the water. Anglers come from around the world, casting lines into the flats, the backcountry, and the deep sea beyond the reef. Tarpon, bonefish, and sailfish move through these waters with grace and power. The connection between ocean and fishermen is quiet and deep. But beyond the fishing, the island life carries its own calm beauty. Small shops and open-air cafes sit along the roadside, shaded by palms and painted in sun-worn colors. In the heart of Miami, far from the beaches and the swaying palms, a once-forgotten warehouse district has transformed into one of the most vibrant open-air art spaces in the world. This is Wynwood Walls, a living gallery, where color, culture, and creativity meet under the open sky. Here, every wall is a canvas. Concrete becomes story, brick becomes voice, spray paint becomes movement, bold and alive. Some pieces stretch across entire buildings, exploding in color and shape. Others are small and quiet, tucked into corners, waiting to be discovered. Wynwood Walls began as a vision to turn a blighted area into a destination for art and imagination. What started with a few murals now includes dozens, created by some of the most respected street artists from across the globe. Each piece brings something unique: abstract visions, sharp messages, dreamlike patterns, or raw emotion frozen in pigment. The ground beneath your feet is just as alive. Cobblestone paths and painted sidewalks lead from one space to another. People move slowly here, stopping often, heads tilted upward. Along the edge of Biscayne Bay, where the water meets the rhythm of downtown Miami, Bayside Marketplace opens like a colorful window to the city's vibrant energy. This open-air gathering place blends the movement of the bay with the pulse of music, food, and everyday life. Palm trees sway gently above wide walkways, and the sound of waves mixes with live music from small stages tucked among shops and cafes. Boats glide into the marina, their reflections dancing on the water, while visitors wander past market stalls and local vendors, drawn by scents of grilled seafood and tropical fruit. Bayside Marketplace is not just a place to shop. It is a space where the city breathes. Street performers draw crowds with music, dance, and laughter. Locals and travelers alike find shade beneath colorful umbrellas, sipping cold drinks and watching the boats come and go. It is a place made for wandering, for pausing, for watching the world unfold. The bay itself stretches out beside the marketplace, calm and open, dotted with sailboats, tour boats, and the occasional passing yacht. Water taxis depart from the dock, offering views of the skyline and the distant rhythm of the sea. The breeze carries hints of salt and sunlight, soft and warm against the skin. Running parallel to the sands of South Beach, Ocean Drive is more than just a street. It is a living postcard, a moving picture framed by neon lights, Art Deco buildings, and the endless rhythm of waves rolling in from the Atlantic. The architecture is the first thing that catches the eye. Streamlined curves, pastel colors, and geometric designs line the avenue, each building a tribute to a golden era. These are the icons of Miami's Art Deco district, built in the 1930s and 1940s, still standing with elegance and flair. Facades glow in pink, teal, and soft yellow. At night, neon signs bring them to life, casting reflections on the sidewalks like brushstrokes of light. Along the edge of Ocean Drive, cafes spill onto the sidewalks under striped umbrellas. Tables are filled with the sounds of conversation, clinking glasses, and live music drifting from open doors. The scent of Cuban coffee, seafood, and tropical fruit lingers in the warm ocean air. Palm trees sway overhead, tall and graceful, lining the street like sentinels. Just across the way, the beach stretches wide and white, meeting water that sparkles under the sun. Rollerbladers, cyclists, and sunseekers move along the path between sand and street, their pace easy, their faces lit by sun and sea breeze. Just across the Rickenbacker Causeway from the vibrant heart of Miami, Key Biscayne unfolds like a quiet escape, an island where the rush of the city softens into the hush of palm trees, sea breeze, and endless horizon. Surrounded by the blue of Biscayne Bay on one side and the open Atlantic on the other, this slender island is a sanctuary of calm. The water here is shallow and clear, shifting from soft green to deep blue, beneath a sky that seems to stretch forever. Boats drift slowly offshore, pelicans glide low over the waves. The sound of the wind in the mangroves is the island's quiet rhythm. Key Biscayne holds two of Florida's most peaceful coastal parks. On the southern tip, Bill Baggs, Cape Florida State Park offers wide beaches and the iconic lighthouse that has stood watch since the early 1800s. From its top, the view reveals a world of water, shoreline, and open sky, untouched and timeless. To the north, Crandon Park spreads across dunes and saltwater lagoons, where gentle trails wind past tropical trees and quiet coves. Families picnic under the palms. Children wade in calm surf, and the island seems to breathe with a slower, softer pace. Beyond its natural beauty, Key Biscayne carries a quiet elegance. Winding along the edge of the Hillsborough River, the Tampa Riverwalk is a pathway of movement, light, and connection. It stretches for more than 2 miles through the heart of the city, where the water reflects both skyline and sky, and the pulse of Tampa flows gently along its banks. This riverwalk is more than a walkway. It is a living thread that ties together parks, museums, restaurants, and neighborhoods. On one side, the river glides past slowly, carrying kayaks, paddleboards, and passing water taxis. On the other side, trees, sculptures, and shaded benches create places to pause and watch the world go by. The air smells of fresh water and Florida sun. Cyclists roll past with easy rhythm. Runners move to the beat of their own breath. Families stroll beneath the canopy of trees, stopping for street performers, art displays, or just a quiet view of the water. As the sun begins to set, the riverwalk comes alive with light. Decorative lamps flicker on. The surface of the river mirrors the colors of the sky, orange, gold, and deepening blue. Buildings along the water glow with reflection, and bridges light up in shifting patterns of color. Landmarks rise along the path like moments in a story. Just a few miles southwest of downtown Miami, Coral Gables unfolds like a city dreamed into life. With tree-lined boulevards, Mediterranean architecture, and fountains that echo with soft water, it feels timeless, a place where history, design and natural beauty meet in quiet harmony. Built in the early 20th century as one of America's first planned communities, Coral Gables was designed with intention. Its streets curve gently, framed by banyan trees and coral rock walls. The buildings wear warm tones of terracotta and ivory, with red tile roofs and graceful arches that reflect the style of old Europe, reborn in tropical light. At the heart of Coral Gables is the iconic Biltmore Hotel. Towering above the trees with its grand tower and endless charm, it carries echoes of another era when jazz floated through the courtyards and the hotel's ballroom welcomed guests from around the world. Even now, its halls feel like a passage through time. The Venetian pool, carved from a coral rock quarry, remains one of the city's most cherished landmarks. On Florida's southeastern coast, where ocean breeze meets quiet waterways, Fort Lauderdale opens like a city shaped by water, both coastal and calm, vibrant and reflective. Known as the Venice of America, it is a place defined not only by beaches, but by the gentle pull of rivers, canals, and the sea. At its edge, the Atlantic stretches wide, with golden sand and rolling surf. The beachfront promenade, lined with swaying palms and soft white walls, follows the shoreline in a graceful curve. People walk slowly here, warmed by the sun, cooled by the salt breeze, with the sound of waves never far. But behind the ocean front, the story deepens. Fort Lauderdale is a city of waterways. Over 300 miles of canals thread through neighborhoods lined with boats, waterfront homes, and tropical gardens. Water taxis move past yachts and quiet docks. Bridges rise and lower with the rhythm of the tide. The city is always in motion, but never in a hurry. Los Olas Boulevard offers a different kind of flow, one of art galleries, open-air cafes, boutiques, and quiet courtyards. In the heart of central Florida, far from the shores and coastlines, Orlando rises as a city built on imagination. Known around the world for wonder and play, it is a place where dreams take shape, in theme parks, in nature, and in quiet moments that live beyond the spotlight. For many, Orlando begins with magic. It is home to legendary destinations where fantasy becomes real, where castles glow at sunset, and stories come alive through light, sound, and motion. Families arrive from every corner of the world, drawn to the promise of joy and the memory of childhood made new. But beyond the gates of its famous parks, Orlando reveals another side, one of lakes, gardens, and a city that lives and grows beyond its legends. More than 100 lakes shimmer throughout the region, reflecting cypress trees, quiet docks, and skies painted in soft Florida colors. Paddlers move gently across still water. Herons stand silent at the edge. In the center of it all is Lake Ola, where swan boats glide beneath the skyline and live music fills the evening air. The lake is more than a park. It is a gathering place, a quiet breath within the city's vibrant pace. Orlando is also a city of culture and innovation.